Let's do some drywall. Hello everybody, today we're doing a drywall repair in a bedroom. Someone locked their dog inside the bedroom and the dog clawed and chewed through the walls. I've seen it all now. But believe it or not, this is more common than you think, especially puppies. If you have a puppy and you keep them in the room, they will scratch at the walls. Certain breeds of dogs will do this. So if you have a puppy or a very active dog and you leave, sometimes they get separation anxiety or whatever. So just better to kennel your dogs, because this is what they'll do. They'll keep scratching at the drywall. I've seen dogs that actually scratch through the sheetrock and scratch all the way through the stucco on the other end. So the dog can get hurt, especially this dog almost hit the wire here. If he would have scratched and chewed through the wire, it would have probably electrocuted him and probably been a bad situation. But the good thing is he only damaged the drywall here, so it's an easy fix, but the homeowner is going to be out several $100s in repairing this over a dog that should have been put in a kennel instead of just trapped inside the room. But we're going to go ahead and get this repaired. Enough with the dogs and the homeowner's decisions. We're just here to fix the drywall. Basically, I'm just going to do the same thing like all the drywall repair process. Going to mask off the floor. I'm working with my buddy today, so we're going to get this done pretty quickly. He's just using a level. You can use a level or a piece of wood. You're just basically going to mark off all the sides of the patch. You don't want to cut out a huge area, so you just want to go past the damage. He's using a pencil, and then he's going to cut out the areas using a sawzall. If you're going to use a sawzall technique, don't go too deep with the sawzall blade. Sheetrock's about a 1/2 inch thick, so you don't want to go past a 1/2 inch with your sawzall blade. Sometimes these sawzalls jump around. They're kind of aggressive. So only if you know what you're doing, use a sawzall technique like my friend here. If not, you could just use a hand keyhole saw or a razor blade and cut out each patch. But basically, just cut out the areas. What he's going to do, he's going to cut out each area, and then he's going to mark the measurements on top of the sheetrock. This is one technique of doing it. Some people actually like to cut out a little piece of drywall and put it against the wall and then temple it out. You can do that technique too. There's nothing wrong with that. But we're working as a teamwork here, so this is pretty efficient what we're doing here. He's going to get them all cut out. He's going to take his measurements. We're not keeping the scrap drywall. I'm not hauling it out because it's just a rental property. And they gave us in and out price, basically, what we did this for. Get the measurements. Once he gets all the measurements, I'm going to go behind him with some 1x2s. You can use 1x2s, 2x2s, 2x4s, wood sheeting. Some guys even like to use those metal drywall brackets, whatever it takes. You just got to get some backing behind it. You can add some screws in existing sheetrock. If the existing framing showing, you want to pull the old nails out or screws. But I'm adding backing. These 1x2s are easy to go to. They only cost like less than $2 for an 8-foot stick. Any wires, anything looks bad, you're going to want to address it. You can tell in one of the areas the wire got kind of bunched in there, but it's still a good shape. If there was any problems with it, then I would have definitely showed it to the homeowner. They have metal brackets on the wire framing, so they're good to go. Add plenty of screws. Also add screws on your outside sheetrock to tighten up the old sheetrock. Once I get all my backing in, I'm basically going to take all my measurements. He already went through and he put the measurements, so I'm just going to use a piece of scrap drywall, or you can use a piece of pen and paper. Just write the measurements down. You can cut them in the room, but with me, I have the sheetrock outside with a T-square, so it's going to be easier for me to take all my measurements down, and I'm going to just go outside and I'm going to basically cut out 10 puzzle pieces. Sometimes it might even be easier if you just cut out all the patches. Say, let's do just one measurement for all of them. So it might even be easier to do it that way. Now, after cutting all these, I thought that would have probably been an easier technique. Just make them all the same size and cut all the patches the same size. But it is what it is. These bigger patches, I'm going to use longer pieces of wood, some 1x2s. But it's pretty simple. You know, I'm not going to sit here and talk around it. There's no commotion going on in the video because I'm working together, two guys on a job site, music, in someone else's home. So I'm just basically doing a talk over step by step. I'm basically going to have to watch it and see the process. We're going to get this all sheetrocked and get it taped with a fiberglass mesh tape. I'm basically with the fiberglass mesh tape, after the areas have all been sheetrocked, plenty of screws, no screws sticking out, all the screws are nice and recessed. I'm going to go through with a 6-inch knife and I'm going to scrape all the patches. That gets rid of the goobers and anything on the cut seams. You don't want to tape over it and there's some piece of drywall sticking out or something like that, so it just turns into a nightmare of mud. So that's why you always pre-scrape all your areas before you fiberglass mesh tape. I use a spray glue. That's an optional product. It doesn't have to be used. The only reason I use a spray glue, especially when we're taping on old sheetrock, is that the old sheetrock is dusty and the fiberglass tape doesn't like to stick as well as it should. There's some adhesion properties on the back of the fiberglass, but it's not a strong glue adhesion on the back of it. So I just do spray glue, optional product. Fiberglass mesh tape. I know there's so many tapes out there, paper tapes and fusion tapes. This type of tape, this type of tape. When in doubt, just buy fiberglass mesh tape. I'm telling you, I've never had any issues with it. I've never had to steer out of my lane looking for new products. I use fiberglass mesh tape on all my repair jobs. I never had a re-crack out, call back on any stuff cracking out with fiberglass. If it's used correctly, it'll hold and it's a strong material. Sometimes you might have a big gap in a wall or something like that. Then you might want to pre-fill it or do 2 layers of fiberglass just in case. But basically, once you get the fiberglass on, you're just going to strike it in and fill it in. But you'll see that on the next part video on the coating. This first part's just getting all these patches sheetrocked, hung. 10 patches. Seems like a lot of work, but believe it or not, we got it done within 2 or 3 hours at the most on a Saturday. At that, Saturday morning, in and out. These people, hopefully they got a cage for their dog because this is pretty bad. I don't know. If my dog did this to my walls, I'd definitely have to get some obedience classes for them or get them a dog crate. But it's a common issue, and it always happens in people that are renting. I don't know if renters don't want to take that extra time, but if I came into my property and the renters did this to my property, it'd probably create a big lawsuit or a bunch of deposit holds or something. So if you do have a dog, this is a common issue, especially puppies. Baseboard's the worst when they chew up baseboard because baseboard's a lot more work to remove and replace, primer, and paint it. So luckily then they just got the sheetrock damaged here. But just follow along. It's a boring video, I know, but this is just basically the step process. This is what this channel's for, so you can learn how we do the drywall repairs. I know there's other videos out there. Everybody has their own technique, but I work 6-7 days a week, every day, doing the same stuff. Patching, stress cracks, patches like this, in and out type jobs from start to finish in one trip. So that's why we use these fiberglass mesh tapes, get everything nice and secured so they never crack out and never have any issues. But go ahead and follow along. Also, if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. You can like the video. You can add a comment. Everybody always has their opinion. Go ahead and leave an opinion. But this is going to be the first part. I'm going to do a 2-part video. So the second part will be doing the coat process and the texture. This is just getting it all sheetrocked and getting all these patches hung. 10 patches. 10 patches in one bedroom. A 10 by 10 bedroom, there's 10 patches. That's crazy. Also, add plenty of screws. I like to do screws every 4 inches or so. And you want to get them on all sides. You necessarily don't need all 4 sides screwed off, but at least top and bottom or side to side, nice and tight. And you notice I got the backing. I'm putting a screw on the outside sheetrock edge and on the new sheetrock edge. Center stud placement, backing placement. Any pieces that are too tight, you just whittle them down with the razor blade. That's why you always want to keep nice new razor blades in your sheetrock knife. They do wear out quickly. They're not as good as they used to, so every job you have to switch out your razor blades. Nice and tight. If there's little gaps, no big deal. Just make them fit. Put plenty of screws every 4 inches or so, nice and tight. Go through, scrape them off. Spray glue's optional, and then fiberglass them. Basically, the same process each patch. I'm just moving on to each patch, doing everything. Move on to the next patch, do everything. Yada, yada, yada. Pretty simple, easy, easy, easy. You watch plenty of these videos, you too will probably be a professional drywaller. But hopefully you only have to do drywall one time. That's probably why you're watching these YouTube videos, see how you do it. You can watch this video too. I also have a whole playlist of doing patches and stuff. So, after you watch this video, you can watch a few other videos. Maybe get comfortable on the process. You kind of see the process, say, okay, I know how to do this now. I think I can handle it. If you don't think you can do it, or if you don't want to go through the trouble of buying all the basic materials, the supplies, just call a professional. Or maybe you're confident in at least getting the sheetrock patch hung or getting it squared up. Do your comfortable level, your comfort level on this. Cut it out. Do whatever you can. Maybe it could save you some money. The day before this job, I went to a job and the homeowner actually cut out all the patches himself and sheetrocked it. And all he did was wanted me to do all the taping and mudding and texturing. So he saved a lot of money on his project.